Welcome to the Curious Conversation Collaborative, a community for purpose-seeking professionals, entrepreneurs, and changemakers.
Listen to inspiring conversations with your hosts, inner leadership mentor Tessa and Karen and business wealth coach Karen Ravel.
Hi everyone, and hi Karen, good to see you again.
Hi Tessa.
So today is already the third episode of our Declutter series of February 2020. And today we're talking about decluttering your work and life or your business. So I'm very curious what will come up about this. I'm sure you have something to say about it, Karen. I mean, I know you were talking.
Yeah, well, certainly. I mean, I was thinking about this more from a business point of view, and especially working for yourself, because I see so many small business owners, and I've done it. I'm guilty as charged. Is that we tend to overcomplicate everything, and you know, really, the more simple we can keep things, the easier it is. So I think having a look at your processes that you do in your business, your whole business strategy, and simplifying it, decluttering it, basically, is going to help you probably achieve more, but do it in a much more relaxed and easier way. So, you know, things I was thinking about is like, you know, as a business owner, you've got to be promoting all the time, but, you know, just focus on one promotion at a time, one offer at a time. You know, if you're out there on social media, focus on one or maybe two platforms at most. You know, if you're doing projects, just do one project this month.
Yeah.
You know, it's that. Like we tend to
do everything
right?
We want to, we really want, and I think, to be honest, if I look at it, I don't know how it's for you, but when I was employed, yes, for certain things, of course, the job description manager would give you certain tasks. So for that part, it's very different from being self-employed, where you have to decide yourself. On the other hand, I thought also when being employed, in most organizations where I have worked, that whatever was put towards you to do was in the end always more than really would fit in the hours that you were given. So even being employed, you had to be kind of mindful of decluttering your job description, if you like, or decluttering what was given to you, to say, hey, look, you know, do you want me to do this? Do you want me to do that? Because I can do both. And I think in a way, the good thing about being employed was that, you know, the responsibility was in the end maybe with someone else to a degree, but it was also sometimes even harder to have to say that to a manager, to actually, because there was sometimes that fear around, like, well, if I say that I can't do everything, are they going to say that I'm not good enough, that I'm not doing the job well, right? So I think as an employee, there was sometimes also a lot of fear around, and just taking everything on, thinking that then I would be promoted sooner, or that they would, you know, that would be better for my career, or for, you know, that it was hard to say that. Where so with yourself, on the one hand, it's harder to manage yourself. On the other hand, I think there was also a different kind of fear of expressing this, like, hey, look, I need to prioritize, I need to skip to declutter, to get rid of some things to do as well. And I don't know how you would experience that.
Yeah, and we talked last time a bit about personalities, and I think, you know, some people are what we call people pleasers, and they'll take on, you know, everything to help someone else, but they're putting their priorities first rather than putting their own priorities first.
Yeah.
And yeah, you know, you can easily find that you're taking on a lot more, or again, like we talked about last time, there's that fear of missing out. Sometimes we've just like, oh, we want to be interested in that, and we want to know what's going on here, and we want to know what's going on here, and before we know it, we've got so much on our plate.
Yeah.
And then you know, you kind of feel like, oh, it's weighing you down again. And I think we need to start being more discerning about what's important to us, and how can we simplify that. You know, how can we still get the information we need, or be involved in the projects or the, you know, the people in our life, but do it in a way that we can try and keep it as simple and as easy as possible. Because like I say, I had a mentor who used the expression once to me, like, don't worry about a problem that you haven't got yet. And I think, you know,
I love that.
you know, often we're doing that because we're trying to do so much, and then we start, you know, it gets us back up in our heads again. We talked about our mind clutter before as well, and it's like, you know, we're on the go all the time. And actually, when we can just stop and simplify things, and really focus on what's important to us in our life. You know, we don't have to live someone else's life, we're living our life. So what's important to us in our life, in our relationships, in our career, our business, you know, really get clear about that, because then you can start letting things go.
And I think also, really, isn't it like that, the being busy has nearly become some sort of status, right? I mean, if someone asks, how are you? You kind of nearly feel you have to be busy, right? I mean, not just that you have to actually be busy, but also like everyone would say, oh, I'm so busy. You know, as if that's a good thing.
Like that in my career. I'll be honest, I'm not like it now.
I know, but in general, it's still seen nearly as like, that's the good thing, right? I mean, you're supposed to be busy. Like, I mean, I remember already years ago here in the Netherlands, but later in Ireland, they had it as well, that like, they were, for instance, saying that there was a whole campaign around it, how ridiculous it had become that even children as old as 6 years old would have their own diary with all these appointments, and it was like, oh, we have to go from here to there, like, you know, and it was like so many things, and that you actually could see these kids getting like overwhelmed by their piano lessons and hockey and I don't know, football, whatever, and then school, of course, and then they had play dates, and it was like that is calm down, you know, actually see which of those. So think again for ourselves as well, as you said, it's both your work and your life to see what's really important to you. Also, I think, what do you get real enjoyment of? You know, so I think to have this thing of like, there is certain things in work and life that you really have to do that are essential, and some of them you might like, and some of you like a little bit less maybe. But then there's also these things, which things are really essential and which ones do actually give you a lot of enjoyment, and to really figure that out, so that, as you said, then it's much easier to make those choices around simplifying. And I think what you said as well, around really knowing like you don't have to do it all, or at least also not all at once. That, you know, it's okay to put certain things of saying, right, look, I really would like to do this, but maybe this one I'll do next year.
Yeah, and it is that just taking time out, you know, to be able to step back and look at things at a higher level, or you know, without being in it. So again, going back, you know, to your business, maybe it's like you really want to be like stepping out of that busyness and just taking that sort of helicopter view, or that, you know, bigger view, to say, am I, you know, do I need everything that's here? You know, I used to do business process re-engineering, and it's like, that's the thing, it's like, it's very easy, we kind of tend to, we tolerate a lot of things, and we keep putting sticky plasters on things, whether that's in our life or our work, whatever, and before you know it, you've got very overcomplicated systems in business, but in our life as well. Like I say, we tend to tolerate things. So I you know, definitely suggest anyone listening is to just you know, take a little while and just think, right, look around your environment, look around your people you're with, you know, look around what you're doing in your job and whatever. What are you tolerating? What are you doing that you don't really enjoy doing, and that you feel you have to? And then ask yourself, do I really need to? Is it really a have to, or am I just making that up? Am I looking at it in a way that I feel I have to, but it's not really required?
Yeah. So I think if we look at this, really what we were talking about today, that there really is this element of like prioritization and simplifying, that are basically the main elements. But to do that, to really also go to look at what's really important, because I think sometimes we think things are priorities, but are they actually important to you as well, not just like in general? But I think also, just what you mentioned there, what I just would like to give people away from this is like what I found most helpful in this, both when I was employed and for myself, but also for my personal stuff that may have been happening, that I found that the times that I could actually talk to someone about this, because what you said about the helicopter view, I knew that was important, but sometimes that's really hard to do for yourself. And although I got a lot of support from family and friends, both for personal issues and work-related things, and also for my own business, in the end, I really, really found that to really, really properly be able to do the helicopter view, to look at things objectively as well, I really needed to talk to people outside. And sometimes these were fellow entrepreneurs, or when I was working, like people, kind of peer support people. And sometimes I really must say the best decisions I've made is also to talk to either a coach or someone else who could help me to really do that, right? Who wouldn't come from a friendly or family way of talking of like, sure, everything will be fine. Sometimes we need that, and it's very helpful, but sometimes we need someone who can be looking at this with us, not from a personal support way, but from an actual really help us to get out of our own environment.
Yeah, to give you a different perspective that's maybe not what you're expecting to hear, but sometimes the brutal truth.
Yes, exactly. So I think, and I think, again, we've talked about this before, but I think it's particularly relevant to the decluttering. Sometimes we need help. You need a cleaner, if you like, but someone who doesn't do it fully for you, but who helps you do it, basically. Like I think there's, can't remember, this Japanese popular person who has written all these books about decluttering, who goes into people's houses and helps them declutter. But you can get like that for some of us need us for our work life, or our life, our mind, whatever. So I think don't be afraid of asking support as well if you can't do it all by yourself.
Yeah, great. Okay, well, that's been another interesting conversation. We hope you've enjoyed listening today, and you've got some tips and some takeaways. And if you'd like to share anything with us, we'd love to get your feedback and get your ideas or any questions you may have. And next time round, we're staying on the theme of decluttering, but we're going to be talking about relationships. So until next week, we'll speak again soon.
See you then. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye, Tessa. Thank you for listening. Did you enjoy this episode? Let us know in the comments or send us a message. You can find out more about us at karenravel.com
and tessavankaken.com. Tune in again next week for another curious conversation.